So far, we've been talking about ratios where we're really just comparing two numbers. There's also a notion of a rate, which is a ratio where the units are different. So before we were just really talking about numbers. We didn't assign units, but there are situations where we might be trying to compare things with two different units, like feet to seconds, or miles to hours, or milliliters to hours. And anytime that we're trying to compare two things and the units are dissimilar, uh, we end up with what is called a rate rather than a ratio. But really is just semantic. The difference is just semantic. There is then the idea of a unit rate, which is essentially where you take a rate and divide by the denominator. So you divide by the denominator of the rate, and what you end up with is a denominator of 1. So this is really common in terms of like speed. We would say, for an example, that you're traveling at 60 miles per hour. So here, the rate is a unit rate because the denominator is 1 hour. It would be equivalent to saying I travel 120 over 2 miles to hours. Or really what we would write that as is not 120 over 2, but we would write it as 120 miles per 2 hours. So the difference is, again, semantic, or we can alternate in between as we want, but in essence, we're talking about unit rates. That means the denominator is 1. If we're talking about just simply rates, then the denominator could be a unit that is more than 1. Could be anything, actually.